Our guest is Lisa Mader, president and owner of LEAP. She has a successful 20-year career working with high school students and their families. Her passion is equipping college-bound students and parents with the proper tools for the whole college selection and application process, resulting in what she calls a best fit college experience. Lisa, now you've had a very successful career working with students and their parents in regards to academics and the whole college process. Why now add college major selection as part of your business?
Quite frankly, parents were asking us for this input. They had kids that were going to college, not graduating in 4 years, or if at all, and coming back to live at home, which is not a parent school, as you probably know yourself, Kelly. So what we wanted to find was a way to get kids dialed in. You know, a good example would be a student I met with a few years ago. He and his mom, actually pretty distraught, came to meet with me. He had already pursued a 4-year undergraduate degree, put in 1 year at law school, and had moved back into his parents' basement. Why? Because he was finding that he didn't have the best fit. He was following all the advice that other family members and friends had given him instead of figuring out who he was. So when we looked at that, we said, okay, we've got to give some help to these families because kids are focusing on looking at the college, looking at the major, then looking at the career, and they weren't doing it in the right order.
So, you know, you bring up the right order, and I know that a lot of people sometimes they kind of focus on, they pick the college and then they kind of pick what they're going to go into. Actually, what is the right order? What's the proper way of really doing this for the best fit?
What we've found is, you know, you're going to spend 4 years in college pursuing an undergraduate degree. You know, we're aimed at getting students in and out in 4 years. So if they're going to be in college for 4 years, why are we focusing solely on the 4 years instead of the 30, 40, 50 plus years that they're actually going to be in their career? So what we do is we work actually what some people would think is backwards. So we started out the career and we look at scientifically measuring who you are and finding the very best fit of multiple careers that would work out for you over a lifetime. We then back up to what are the college majors that can feed to those careers, and then let's look at the colleges that are best equipped to equip the student to go into that career.
Kelly, I can tell you that Lisa's firm and our firm has worked together for many, many years, and the parents that we talk with, this resonates with them because many of them wish they could change careers at this point in time. So they realize how important this is, you know, for their children.
Absolutely.
Right. You know, it sounds like it's like the opposite order of how most families approach the whole process. So how do you actually determine the best fit for a career?
Well, we look at the student's academic profile first. That would be grade point average, ACT, SAT scores, preferences for what subjects they like in school, what they like to study, what they're interested in, their extracurriculars. So that's our student profile. Then we go in and we measure their hardwired personality, and we marry those two sets of data together to come up with the best fit future careers.
You know, I'm glad you brought up hardwired because I know that I had my two daughters take your the Birkman test, and we'll talk about that later. It was kind of interesting going through their profile with them. Please explain to not only me, but to the audience, what do you actually mean by hardwired?
Well, you know, we could sit here and argue about is it nature versus nurture. The bottom line is that by the time a student is in college, their basic personality is hardwired. It's in there. So what we're looking at is not only their usual observable behaviors that any of us could probably cite by watching each other, but we also look at the interests that motivate them. We look at how they approach work, but most importantly, what we're interested in is what are their hardwired needs. The needs are the things that need to be met. They're a driving factor. We've got to look at what the needs are. Then by getting a student in a position where their needs are being met, we avoid our stress behaviors and we stay in our usual productive behaviors as an individual.
You know, it sounds like a lot to consider. How do you measure all of those pieces? I mean, how do you put them all together and get it across to the student and the family?
Well, fortunately for us, there's one tool that can do this for us, and that's the Birkman method. The Birkman method is a personality assessment. It actually measures 77 pieces of hardwired personality for us.
Okay, so you're talking about the Birkman method. I'm familiar with that, and I know that I've done it myself. My daughters have done it. There are plenty of other assessment tests out there that we've all heard of, Myers-Briggs, and you know there's some wonderful ones out there, management tools. But why do you use specifically the Birkman test, and particularly with college-bound students?
You know, when families started asking us for guidance on college major and career coaching, it wasn't something that I just wanted to cookie cutter or just jump into. So I spent a lot of time researching what are the tools that are out there to possibly do this. Actually, you referenced Myers-Briggs. That's one of them we looked at. With a Myers-Briggs type test and a lot of the other ones that are on the market, they're giving us 4 personality measurements, only 4, and they're only measuring our usual observable behaviors. So it's what's on the outside, it's what we see. So when I started looking, I wanted to get something that was more in depth. So that's when we came across Birkman. So like I said, it's looking at how you go about doing your work. It looks at the interests that motivate us. It's looking at our hardwired needs. And that's the biggest key. That's what sets it apart. We're measuring needs. Needs cannot be seen. They're innate and they're buried within us. And that's what Birkman's able to measure.
Kelly, if I might add,
absolutely.
You know, what Lisa has with the Birkman test is wonderful on its own. But when you couple that with Lisa's 20 years of academic experience, that's where the magic happens. That's where this all gets tied together in a nice package with a bow on top for the families. And that's the key in this, in my opinion.
So, Lisa, you started your career when you were like 5 years old. Congratulations.
I did.
Really,
Thank
really.
you.
So how can Leap to College to Career really help families save thousands and thousands of dollars in college funding?
Well, it's a scientific process, and we look at the Leap to College to Career as scientifically dialing a student into who they are. For the cost of less than 1 semester's worth of books that they'll pay for while they're in college, we're able to get them dialed into and get them into the fit so that, you know, as we've talked about before, all of us in this business, we have students who aren't graduating. We have a 36% of students graduating from college in 4 years when most parents are planning for paying for 4 years of college, which is really unfortunate. We have 44% of students never graduating from college. They're moving back into their parents' house. The parents have college debt to pay off. They've got the kid living at home, not their dream, and a kid not living their best fit, fulfilled life that they've got out there for them.
So one more question to wrap up, and this is probably going to hit home with a lot of people. What about people that are already in college, or maybe they're out of college, and maybe they're in a career that may be right for them, but may not be right? Can you still assist them?
Absolutely. My ideal student, I think that we all talk about, if we all could grab families when we've got a student who's an 8th grader or a 9th grader and get them dialed into the right college, this would be a great time, in college to get a kid to the right place. When we have a student who's already in college, we can help them get dialed into the right major. Many students have to declare that major by the end of their sophomore year. We also have kids who are graduating from college and we want to get them dialed in. I think back a few years ago, we had a nurse that came to us and wanted career coaching. She was just ready to jump ship. She was just completely done with her job. We ran her Birkman. We found that she actually was in the right career, but she was in the wrong setting. When we looked at her need for activity and her need for variety in her job, we found that if she just switched it up, left the private doctor's practice that she was working in and go to the emergency room to work, she would be fulfilled. She is flourishing in her career today. So whether a student's in high school or they're already out in the career, we can help them.
Well, it sounds like she's thriving, not just surviving. Anyway, hey, Lisa, thank you for coming. It sounds like this is an incredible added value to not only CPR, College Planning Relief, but also to College Planning Centers of America. I want to thank you for coming, and I'm sure that being able to use Lisa's services, if you're interested in that, again, go to CPR's website, collegeplanningrelief.com. Lisa, sounds like a true investment in college savings. Thank you.
Thank you.